Star, and we're live on air. Hooray! Hello, world. Let me do this thing before it starts making annoying noises at me. Hello, world. Welcome to episode 4 of Footballs Deep, the greatest NFL show on air. I am rabid Eagles fan Jessi Milestone. I'm joined by my weirder half. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Kendo slice of world-class bullshitters.
Yep.
For the Chiefs. Double repping are we today since you missed out?
Yeah. My homie is my MVP.
My homie. Well, I got my Wentz boy over here. Let me get a better angle here. You can see Wentz and Dawkins and my little Super Bowl champion bear. Wouldn't you like to have a little bear that says Super Bowl champions on it? Wouldn't you like that?
I don't know if I would buy a bear that says Super Bowl champions on it, but I would like it to at least exist to where I could.
It was a gift. Okay, it was a gift. All right, so we got some people watching, all 7 loyal fans so far, and 10 likes, so that's exciting. Presumably people jumped in when we were supposed to be live 2 hours ago and liked it and then bounced. So that's exciting. Hopefully they'll come back.
Hopefully.
So we got 3 exciting things on the docket today.
Yep.
We'll start off discussing the current the rule changes that have been adopted. There will be, I believe, a May session to see if they're going to pick up any more of these rule changes. And then we'll jump into our closer looks. We got Kendo talking about the Bills, and I'll be talking about America's team that nobody likes, the boys.
Yeah. So, I would actually be remiss if I did not start this episode by paying tribute to the recently passed Gunther Cunningham of the Kansas City Chiefs fame. He was our defensive coordinator during the 90s, oversaw probably one of the best defensive units we've ever had in the mid-90s. And he had a tenure as head coach for a couple years after Marty Ball, packed up and went out of town. But it wasn't as good, but they were kind of in the decline back then. But he's very, very, very fondly remembered in and around Arrowhead for being the mastermind and constructor of one of the toughest defenses in all of the NFL. And if the offense wouldn't have sucked but dick and Lynn Elliott could make a field goal, we probably could have won a Super Bowl or 2 by now. But sorry to have to start it on a sour note, but, Coach Cunningham, we will miss you. And as you once so famously said, for fucking Arrowhead, defend her honor. We will, sir. Say hi to DT for us.
Oh, that was a beautiful tribute, Kendo. I'm sure that
he was a brilliant defensive coordinator. It'd be if we would have had him this year, we would have stomped a mud hole in the Patriots' ass, and we would have won the Super Bowl over the Rams, 58,000-6.
I can believe that. That seems like a very reasonable score.
We also should probably resurrect the ghost of Derek Thomas. That would help too.
It would have, if only we had these options.
I'll sacrifice a chicken and see what happens.
There you go. That could be a fun one. Is like, who would you bring back? That could be a fun.
That's easy, Derek Thomas.
Well, yeah. I'd have to think about it for the Eagles. It would take me a minute to figure out. Oh no, just kidding. Chuck Bednarik.
Yeah, either there or Reggie.
I'd bring back Bednarik all day long.
Yeah.
Watch him sit on another guy. My favorite, it's one of the most beautiful stills from Eagles history, is it was to win the game, he had pancaked someone. They were completely unconscious, and he's just standing over his body looking like he's about to go, and stay there! Like, yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. He was out. The guy was out cold. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I got my dad, because for his birthday. Now I got to think of what to get him this year for Father's Day or something. I don't think I got him a birthday present because I'm a terrible daughter.
Send him a Cowboy shirt.
No, I like my dad. My dad is somebody that I like.
Set it on fire and then send it to him.
While it's on fire.
Yeah.
Dear U.S. Post Office, please take this thing that is on fire and mail it.
Send it FedEx. They'll ship anything.
That would be amazing. This thing is already on fire. Here, please take it. Oh, goodness. Yeah, but I got him a Bednarik jersey and a Dawkins jersey. And my dad, who before this, by the way, had never bothered to invest because he's not a material guy. So he never invested in any real Eagles gear or anything before. But since then, he's like, well, I keep wearing my Bednarik jersey and they keep winning games. So I'm going to keep wearing my Bednarik jersey.
That's what you got to do.
So I have a pair of Eagle socks that I don't wash during the regular season. So I wear them for every game, and I don't watch them. It's great.
That's good to know, I guess.
Look, I wore them. I was wearing them when we won the Super Bowl, so they're special.
I mean, that's fair. I'll give you that, but
I was
gonna say it's gonna get kind of ripe there before too long.
A little bit. I mean, I do take them off as soon as the game, like as soon as I'm home from watching the game. So I don't wear them like all day and all night, just like most of the day, because you get in the bar early, you start drinking, and you hang out at the bar sometimes for the later games, and then you go home. So it's basically all day. But I'm
getting some creeper on here that's got a foot fetish that's gonna be hitting you up for those socks.
I know those socks are priceless. I was wearing them when we won the Super Bowl. So on to the actual meat and potatoes. Today is the episode. Today's episode. The two big ones. There've been a handful of rule changes that were adopted. I'm so English right now. So good at English. One of the minor ones that they have solidified the kickoff rules they implemented last year, where you cannot move until the ball has actually been kicked, to presumably prevent more death.
Destruction, mayhem.
Prevent those brutal moments of I'm going to catch this ball without a fair catch. Oh no, I'm flying through the air. Which is now we don't get to see people fly through the air, but I guess player safety. So in the interest of player safety, they adopted a new rule that has made all blindside tackles illegal. So any tackle, and they specifically define it as because usually there's the wording for blindside tackles has been it's an illegal blindside tackle if the player is totally defenseless, if there's no way they could have seen you coming or prepared or whatnot. And this is any time that a player is moving towards or parallel to their own end line. You may not make any tackle moving in those directions. So you have to be in the 180-degree sphere in front of the player you're tackling in order to hit them. And I think that kind of sucks.
So what happens if I'm a defensive end, the quarterback drops back, I blow up the tackle, and I'm coming after the quarterback, and I hit him in the back and take him down? Am I now being flagged for that?
Apparently. That's the concerning part. Is a lot of these rules, and the entire rule change about lowering your helmet, or making first contact with the helmet, from last year is the tackling rule does specify if the blindside tackle, you're making contact with the helmet, the shoulders, or the helmet, the shoulders, something else, I think. I don't know.
So, because also, if say the running back is running away from you and you tackle him from behind, that's blindsiding him technically, right?
You would think,
So anytime a running back or a receiver, anytime a ball carrier gets past players, they just got to stand there and go, sorry.
Missed that tackle, I guess. Well, so that's the whole thing is I think you can still wrap them up. I think you can still grab them and wrap them up. You just cannot have a blow. So you can't have that beautiful, I think we even talked about this last, my favorite tackle of all time, where Dawkins just comes streaking out pretty much parallel to the end zone and just blast Vic off his feet. You can't have that anymore. In that situation, you could still wrap them up. If you get your arms around them from that position, you can still wrap them up and take them down. You just can't strike them with your, yeah.
I'm looking forward to the first games that these have to be worked out, where there's 85 flags thrown. They stand there for 10 minutes deciding what it is, and then either pick it up and wave it off, or they enforce a penalty that's not a penalty.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, we'll see some of this.
Yay, this looks like a fun time.
Yeah, no, I'm not excited for this. This one's going to be a lot like that. It was going to be a lot like the tackling rule they implemented last season, where you can't, lowering the helmet was always a penalty, but this one, it was what you can't. If your first contact is with the helmet, you can't. There's no bueno. this, once again, all of these made to protect the quarterback from maximum injury. And what you saw last year is what you'll continue to see is a lot of ridiculous flags being thrown for bullshit reasons. Basically, it's becomes, when you make these penalties more and more subjective, you make it easier and easier for the referees to influence the game. Which is a lot of last season for sure.
Yeah.
And there's some moments I'm still bitter about. I mean, not even worth going over, but in the same game, you have there were even instances too. It was a play that cracked Nick Foles' ribs because who was it? What's his name? JJ Watt for the Texans just lowered his helmet and went full force into Foles' chest. No flag. There's nobody in the area, nothing else going. It just went boom, full force into that. No roughing the passer call. And it was after the ball left his hand too, like significantly. No roughing the passer call, nothing. And he gets fined a week later, like the steepest fine available for that play. And so you're like, all right,
I see what you got going there.
What are you doing here? What are you doing?
Well, it's the NFL for you. If it ain't broke, beat the living shit out of it with a club until it barely resembles anything that it used to be.
Exactly. So I'm really happy about this one because I think it's just another opportunity for subjectivity. I think if you're going to put this one in, you should do, which is what they're doing with the pass interference. You should give the ability to challenge this penalty, because the officials are throwing a lot of flags now, trying to get it right. And you saw this so much in preseason, even the beginning of the season, with the new tackling rule. And now we have this new tackling rule. They're throwing flags all over the place, trying to figure out what is and what isn't the penalty, and they're sticking to their guns because pride. So you need some recourse for the players and some ways to protect them, when the flags aren't being thrown to protect them. So, yeah.
Come on, XFL.
So the third big rule change is the challenging of Cat. Hello, Cat. What are you doing here, Cat? You're distracting me. Challenging pass interferences, both calls and no calls. And this just falls into your regular challenge rules. So inside of the 2 minutes of each half, they have to come from the booth. All the challenges have to come from the booth still. But this gives you the opportunity now on some of those questionable drives from last year. See Rams versus Saints. You'll now have the opportunity to challenge both calls and no calls for pass interference. So
I agree, because they need to do something about that, because there's a lot of times where there's clearly no pass interference, but they call it, or you have a situation like in that championship game where there is a blatant pass interference that they just let go. I don't know if that I've had a lot of people that are like, that's not the only reason why the Rams beat the Saints. And I'm like, it was a huge reason why the Saints did not win that game, though, just because of the situation.
For a reason. It was a critical moment, and it gave them a score, or took away what would have been a score, basically.
Right.
Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. No, I agree. I think that's a really good one. I'm hoping too that even though a lot of those critical calls and no calls do happen in those last 2 minutes of the game, but you're hoping now that that's going to encourage more booth reviews of those moments. Now that it's something the booth can review, where previously it wasn't even an option. Now, if there's a blatant pass interference that's not called, the booth has you can get a booth review on that,
right? Which
I think is just going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, it will be, because, like I said, there's sometimes where I think you should be able to challenge just about any penalty. I mean, some of them are obvious.
Sure, false starts,
false starts, offsides, things like that. Those are obvious. No one's ever going to challenge those. So you could say you can challenge penalties. The only problem you would have is holding, because there's pretty much holding on every play.
That one's always becomes where the referees have the most power, because they can always choose to call or not call a hold, depending on the way that Cat. Depending on the way the refs want the game to go. Sorry, I'm being very distracted by Kitty.
It happens.
Very distracting. You're very distracting, little adorable one.
I get distracted by that type of stuff too.
By pussy.
Oh, I was, trying to be a little bit more coy about it, but go ahead and just hammer that point home.
We are the footballs deep podcast.
That's right. Just the tip to score.
Just the tip. We're not exactly going. Subtlety is not exactly what we're going for.
No.
Not exactly our thing. All right. So with those big, so the other things that I want to say, in addition to the challenging the pass interference, now just like all scoring plays are automatically reviewed, now any and all turnovers are automatically reviewed. Now any penalty that negates a scoring play or a turnover is also automatically reviewed, which I think is also a huge one. It's a big deal. They haven't always gotten this right, and I think that these are positive. Anything that involves putting a little more scrutiny on the referees, I am all for. I'm also pleased to see that Pete Morelli retired. I'm pretty sure he's the one who abjectly screwed the Eagles multiple times over the course of his career. So as a person,
maybe he's a Giants fan.
Probably as a personal point, I'm thrilled that he's retiring. But yeah.
Cool. I'm looking forward to these 17-hour marathon games.
Yay. Hooray. But yeah. So the other big so the one thing I want to say, so that I think is an excellent rule change that was proposed by the Eagles, the reviewing the penalties that negate a score and a turnover. So thank you, my team, for these wonderful things. The Chiefs had a lot of bones to pick about the way overtime is conducted. Shocker of the century right there.
They raise a good point, though.
They do. And one of their big ones that looks like it's going to get some attention. A couple, I don't know that they were looking at, like they wanted to make it so that you did not get a second coin toss, so that the whoever coin toss. Cat, you're muting me. Stop, Cat. No, you can't be on. You cannot be on the keyboard. All right, babe. Now Cat's trying to mute you. So I don't know what that's about. There we go. Back to normal. Now he's lying down. That's good, kitty. Yeah, so the Chiefs, they wanted to make it so that whoever won the initial coin toss gets the choice to defer or receive. Which I don't think it makes a difference one way or the other.
No.
You know, you could make the argument that, you know, if you're a good scoring team, receiving in the first off of the initial coin toss or deferring on the initial coin toss puts you in that better position to receive in the second half, to put up your point, like to be in a better position to win the game. Therefore, you are more likely to be ahead. I don't know what the logic would be there, but I don't see a whole lot of point there one way or the other. The big one that it looks like they're going to revisit in May is that a team should get a chance to answer with a drive of their own, even if the opening drive scores.
I've always been I know when the original overtime rules first score, it's over. I was never had a problem with that at first. And then I know when college football adopted their new overtime rules, I mean, this is like almost 20 years ago at this point, where they adopted the new overtime rules. It was just each team gets the ball on the 25 or the 35, and you get a chance to score. If you score, great. The other team gets a chance. If you don't, the other team goes. If they score, there you go. And at first I was like, this is kind of bogus, because you got a game that's like a 17-17 game, a hard-hitting game. You go through 8 overtimes, and now the scoreboard's blown up, and, you know, it kind of takes away from the aspect of how good of a game it was. Having evolved mentally since then, I'm completely down with that. I mean, the only thing that you could do with the coin toss is maybe determine who gets the possession first. But even then, you could fix that by saying who got the ball at the beginning of the game. Okay, well, the other team got the ball at halftime. Well, now the team that got it at the beginning of the game just gets it back at the beginning of overtime. You've mitigated that entire thing. Yeah. So as time has gone on, I've enjoyed the college football rules a lot more, because it is more fair. Each team does get a shot at, you know, with the ball, see what you got. If, you know, you go 3 and out and you miss the field goal, well, maybe you should have played better or picked better plays. I don't know. It's on you at that point. Yeah. When then I know the NFL changed their rules, because didn't Brett Favre get beaten on a field goal, and they were like, well, you got to do something about this. Yeah. And so they changed it. I mean, I get the whole touchdown wins, you know, game over, blah, 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 blah. We don't want a team losing on a field goal. They don't even get a chance with the ball. Well, now we've got a team that doesn't even get a chance with the ball, and they lose on a touchdown. Simple solution, just adopt the college OT rules. NCAA OT rules are fine. They work. NFL wants high scoring games. if they would have had that in the AFC title game, who knows what it would have been, like a 99-95 game at that point, because both of those offenses weren't. Kansas City couldn't stop the Patriots, and the Patriots couldn't stop the Chiefs. It was just back and forth the whole time. And I mean, the only thing that would have been great, the only change I would have made is that either D4-1 lined up on side, because for like 3 seconds I had that feeling of what it's like to see my team go to the Super Bowl, or that, Tom Brady and Gronkowski would have just died before the overtime started. That would have been fine too.
Don't we all want that always? Well, I don't think. I mean, you still wouldn't run up the score too much, because I don't think that would you'd still have sudden death after that. So once both teams had the chance to possess, it goes to sudden death. So the first team gets the ball back and they score again, game's over still. But then that puts you in an interesting situation, which I do think is a lot more interesting, where, all right, this team drives down, scores a touchdown, puts up those points. Now you get a chance to get the ball back. You go down and put up a touchdown. You don't have faith in your defense to stop the other team from scoring. Then you convert 2 points, you win the game.
Right.
And that, I think, makes it interesting. That right there is an interesting twist, because then you have that opportunity. Great, you scored a touchdown. Now you can put it back in the hands of your defense, or if you don't trust your defense, now, because again, those matchups, and that's why it makes it very arbitrary. You're a team that maybe your offense, you're in the situation you're in because your offense has been able to decimate the other team's defense and put up a ton of points, but your defense can't stop theirs. Now it's just becoming an arbitrary in the coin toss. Well, neither of our defense can stop the other offense, so it's just who wins the coin toss. Makes the difference of who gets the W on that one. So throwing that in, I mean, having just that alone, I think brings that an interesting point up. I mean, wouldn't that be a fun thing to watch? Is a team have to make that call, kick the extra point and rely on their defense, or go for the 2-point conversion?
Yeah, either that or just alternating 2-man sack races.
That too. I think I'm okay with that. That won't be fun. We're always going to put in Mailata because he has very long legs. Macy Van Duysen, we have a super chat. Thank you for the super chat. She says, "Hey, God Empress, do Han and Lando, who are mostly black, root for the Panthers?" I see what you did there. It's a double thing, because they're cats, so they're Panthers. Also, they're black, so Black Panthers. I get it. I see what you did. No, my cats are Eagles fans. I wouldn't have it any other way. They would be slaughtered. They would be ritually slaughtered if they weren't. But thank you for the question, and thank you for the super chat. This show has now officially made us almost $30.
Yay!
After that one. The other rule change that I think is interesting, I don't know how much of a difference it will make, but it could, is that now if there's an unsportsmanlike conduct flag thrown after a team scores a touchdown, so the typical showboating, whatever, shoving somebody because you want to throw it in their face, all that nonsense. The opposing team now has the choice as to whether to enforce that penalty on the try or on the kickoff.
That'll make it more interesting.
Yeah, that'll add some intrigue in there.
So what happens if it's on the try, the kick goes from being what? From the 15 to the 25 now? So instead of a
there's an unsportsmanlike conduct at 15-yard.
Unsportsmanlike 15. So instead of kicking an extra point that's like a 30-yard field goal, now it's like a 45-yard field goal?
Basically.
But what if they decide to line up for 2?
Same thing. It'll push them back.
So they'd have to go from the 17. Okay, that makes sense. Or they're kicking off from their own end zone, practically.
Yeah. So that does make it interesting. I think that does make it interesting, because then you do have that, like, what if someone makes that critical mistake when your team really needs to go for 2?
Oops.
That guy's getting fired.
Damn it, Kelsey.
We have another super chat. Thank you, Kermit the Log, for your $2 super chat.
All right, we're going in and out.
This show is now officially more profitable than Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Get some In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're upgrading here. I'm going for I'm getting us all the way to Shake Shack level.
Oh.
Good stuff.
Yeah, right now we're still at Carl's Jr., which is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad. I can accept that.
I like Carl's Jr. It's Hardee's here, but I like it.
Hardee's where I grew up too. It is Carl's Jr. out here, though. All right, so you've now recently become an expert on the Buffalo Bills. So
yes, let's go Buffalo.
Would you like to tell us what you've learned on your grand adventures?
Well, I've learned that the Buffalo Bills went 6-10 last year, and that's mostly because their offense was not very good. So this year they have Josh Allen. They drafted him last year. He is going to be their quarterback of the future. So they're going to eventually, I guess, they're bringing him along. They're hoping that he turns into the quarterback of the future. Probably not this year because it doesn't look like they've reinforced him with enough weapons this year. But it also, should be a developmental year because on departures level, the Bills have only lost 2 players this year, John Miller and Logan Thomas, a guard and a tight end, but they've reinforced big time. They're splashing the cash. They went out and they got John Brown, the speedy wide receiver from the Baltimore Ravens. They went and got Frank Gore, so he's a little bit older and longer in the tooth, but he's still got some wheels on him, and I guess they need Shady to have some backup because if Shady goes down, they don't really have a whole lot going for them. And they also went out and got everybody's favorite honky receiver in Cole Beasley. So now they can line somebody up in the slot to go with Victor Bolden Jr. and Johnny Brown. And they went and they poached Mitch Morse from the Kansas City Chiefs, their center. And the Chiefs center is now the Bills center. So they've reinforced there. They went out and they got a guard, a tackle, another tackle and a guard, some receivers, and a corner. So they went out and they've signed a bunch of free agents. No real humongous names. I mean, I guess Tyler Kroft would be a big name tight end coming from the Bengals, but then again, it's the Bengals. There's no such thing as a big name on the Bengals unless you're what's his name, AJ Green or that Ocho guy from years back. And so it looks like the Bills are loading up. They went out and they drafted a defensive tackle in the first round, and then they just got some bit part players to fill out the roster. And they're definitely they were in a rebuild mode. They look like they're getting themselves back together and looking to go forward. And I was over their schedule, looked at what they've got going, and I think they will improve on their 6-10 record. I see them going 7-9, possibly 8-8, although this is very early days.
That's some bold predictions. The one thing I didn't look over is the Cowboys' schedule so far. What was the Bills' defense like last year? Have they made any upgrades?
Their defense was all right. If I remember correctly, a lot of the reasons why the Bills were losing last year came down to offensive ineptitude and just putting the defense on the field. So, like, if we look at their 2018 record, they were 6-10. Here's where it gets interesting because, yes, they did go 6-10, and I had that number in front of me, and I don't know what I did with it. Defensively, let me see if I can find the NFC. Let's see, AFC East. Let me find that team because there's one big glaring stat which will tell you everything you need to know about what happened with the Buffalo Bills last year. And I don't want to see the New England Patriots season last year. Fuck them. Anyway, okay, so without wasting more time. So defensively, the Bills, I think, gave up like 340-something points last year. Mm-hmm. You break that down over 16 games. Let's do the quick math on. So 20, what did I say, 340. So let's say 340 divided by 16. It's 21 points a game. That's not awful. It's not great, but it's trending bad, but they were put on the field a lot. Offensively, they only scored like 240 points. That's the problem. So if you only score 240 points over 16 games, you're scoring 15 points a game. I know they had a lot of turnovers last year and things of that nature. So you're putting your defense on the field a lot. So that, to me, I think is pretty much what caused the Bills to be 6-10 last year. Yeah. So Bombboard the Hobbit says, I need to give you time to speak. Huh. It's almost like it was my turn to talk about the Bills because
weird because you were the one who learned about the Bills. Anyone else who's really upset that I'm not talking right now? Kendo and I are splitting up AFC, NFC. We're taking a team each week or maybe two. Then we're taking an in-depth look at them to break them down for your pleasure and benefit. And so I didn't research the Bills, so I'm learning things as Kendo teaches them to me.
Yes. Somebody says that Peterman killed the Bills last season. Yes, he did. Peter Meme destroyed the Buffalo Bills last season when Josh Allen couldn't play, and which is weird because Peterman was actually really good in college.
That's too bad.
Yeah, he was like a really good college player, but for whatever reason, he was just a disaster at the NFL level.
That sucks.
But then again, it is the Bills.
It is the Bills, and the Bills don't have much better of a track record than the Jets at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And a weird thing that happened, but so like, you know how the schedule works, you play each division every couple of years,
Yeah.
but the way they match up, you get, so like the Chiefs finished first last year in the division. So they get the first place finishing teams from for a stretch of like 10 or 11 seasons, we played the Bills every year.
Wow.
So it was almost like
God.
the Bills were a member of the AFC West because for whatever reason, we got the Bills every year.
That's kind of hilarious.
So it's like, oh, we got our 2 games against Denver, Seattle, and the Chargers. Oh, and the Bills. We got our game against the Bills, our annual Bills Bowl.
But not this year, no?
No, because the Bills finished third, so we get the Pat Riots again.
Huzzah. We do have a couple more super chats here.
Oh.
RC from the NYC says, "Hey Jessi, everyone, maybe you should do some G&G Sports Wars NFL videos this fall. Just a thought. And go Giants. Fuck the Giants. Giants are gonna suck." But yes, and I've talked to Jeremy about doing that. Actually, maybe Kendo and I can both come and do some Sports Wars stuff over at G&G. And Madaween says, "Supersize your shakes." Thank you.
Woo!
We will do that. Now
We're getting cookies.
Yes. I'm very excited. Yeah. Did you have any further thoughts that you wanted to share from your
about my experience with the Buffalo Bills? Yeah. Not really. They're a team that was in rebuild. They made the playoffs in 2017 for like the first time in almost 20 years. They did not make it far in those playoffs, but I think that was kind of where they peaked for that time being. They got there, and then it's all about, seeing where they can go and what they got to do to get there. So it looks like they were in a bit of a rebuild mode. So we'll see how that's gone, because I guess this would be year 2 of a rebuild. So, and if you're in a rebuild mode and you're not in full implosion mode, which would have been like a 2-14 record instead of a 6-10, you kind of want to see progress that next season. So if they do better than 6-10, then yeah, their rebuild's going right.
Suppose so. Yeah, I mean, so you think these guys are putting the right pieces in the right places?
Yeah, I would say so, because based on where they focused on the draft and free agency, so the offense was their biggest problem, and a lot of it had to do with not having people to throw to and or giving the quarterback enough time in the pocket. They went out and they reinforced the line. They got some weapons, and they filled out the roster through the draft with getting players that I guess they figure and feel will contribute in the future. And yeah, I think the Bills are going in the right direction.
They could say, well, someone's going to be challenging her down, because as we've said many times, there is a time limit on the Patriots. When Brady goes, Belichick goes, and vice versa. And when that happens, that team is going to be an absolute dumpster fire, and I cannot wait. But that leaves the AFC East wide open for a new contender.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, who will it be? Will it be the Bills or the Dolphins?
Yeah, because it's definitely not going to be the Jets. Suck.
It will not be the Jets. That's for darn sure. No, but we got the Joshes now. We got the battle of the Joshes. We got Josh up in Buffalo and Josh Rosen now down in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Both with both potential with potentially bright futures. I don't think either of them figure to be great quarterbacks, but they could each one of them could be a very good quarterback.
Josh Battle 2019.
Battle of the Joshes. So it'll be interesting to see how those two shape up and what kind of steps they make. This will be Allen's second year with the Bills, though.
Yep, second. Yeah, because he was drafted in 2018. So
yeah, this will be Rosen's first year playing for the Dolphins.
Second year overall, but except for hopefully now he's not running for his life behind that Arizona line.
Right. Hopefully, I don't know too much about what the dog. I guess we'll find that out.
That would be next week, actually, because we're doing it alphabetical. So next week I will have the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Yeah. All right. Shall we move on to the boys?
Let's hear about them boys. How about them Cowboys? America's team and shit. Yeehaw. Actually, they wouldn't even say yeehaw, because from what I understand, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you've from nowhere near Texas.
Ha! No, people in Dallas do rep the boys.
People in Dallas do, but I would say of the Dallas Cowboys fanboys, that's actually the smaller percentage of the pie.
Probably. The rest of them are people who just buy into things like America's team.
Yeah. I'm from Tennessee, and I love them Cowboys. Where's Texas at? I don't know. Where's my sister wife?
It's so upsetting. So the number one factor for the Cowboys this season is what will Dak Prescott do? Basically,
Hopefully nothing.
Hopefully, I mean, look, that's what I hope every year. What will Dak do? So they got themselves a fancy new quarterback coach. You know who their new quarterback coach is?
Give me a hint.
His name starts with a John. His first name is John.
John Harbaugh.
Nope.
John Madden.
Nope.
Don Johnson.
Nope. You had a Johns?
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Nailed it. Now, when I tell you, this will be a name that I wouldn't be surprised if you've heard it before. But
John David Booty.
No.
He used to be a quarterback. He was terrible.
But nobody that will blow your mind. John Kitna.
Oh yeah, former Panthers quarterback.
Long-time journeyman quarterback. He was drafted by the Panthers. He never was really a starter for anybody, except he went to one team. Maybe it was with the Panthers.
I'll look it up.
At one point, like he was starting as a way. This was later in his career. He was starting as a way to season their rookie quarterback, who was going to be their quarterback of the future. Actually did play for the Cowboys at one point. Took over one season when Roma was injured, and then got injured himself. I believe his career quarterback rating is like a 77.
Yep, 77.4.
Yeah, so not glowing, not dog shit. There have been worse, but very much, very much. Nobody impressive, who for the past several years has been coaching quarterbacks at the high school level. And now he's going to be the one.
Well, according to this, at the World Bowl Championship, the World Bowl 5, he was NFL Europe's MVP of that game in 1997, helping the Barcelona Dragons beat the Rhine Fire 38-24.
That was it. He got drafted and they got booted over to the Dragons.
Yeah. Yes. He was a dragon man.
So that's good to know that Kitna can be an absolute star in the garbage league.
Yeah.
That's great. And by all intents, a serviceable backup. Seemed like he threw a lot of touchdowns. He also just threw a lot of interceptions.
It's true. Yeah.
His interception rating was absolutely abysmal. I think the season that he started the longest, it was something like 16, maybe a bit over the course of not that many games. He threw like 16 touchdowns, but 12 interceptions. So not what you want to see. It was, I think, one of his first starting opportunities. There was someone got injured. He steps in, throws a touchdown and 2 interceptions, which was for, who was that for? That might have even been the Bills. Because it was somebody's playoff game in like the wild card round in the AFC, and he lost. They could have won, but they didn't.
Let's take a look. So he was an undrafted free agent. He was picked up by the Seattle Seahawks. He was there for a season. Then he went to Barcelona to win the World Bowl. Go him. Then he came back and was a Seahawk until 2000. Then he was a Bungle from 2001 to 2005. And then he he became a Detroit Lion from 06 to 08. Then he was a Cowboy from 9 to 11. Took a year off in 12, and then he came back in 13.
Okay. So it might have been the Bengals then that he that he bungled.
That's a factory of sadness right there between 2001 and 2008. I'm going to play for the Bengals and then the Lions.
Yeah, no, that's just abysmal. Hanging out in the Midwest, being sad. So Kitna, yeah, but apparently, and it's really, really sad to listen to the way. I mean, the writers, the Dallas beat writers, have given up on Prescott. They really have. Because nothing is saying like, oh, he's poised to take this step forward. He totally will. This will be the year. Mark my words. The main article I read, the most inspiring article I read regarding this Kitna Prescott partnership is Kitna really wants Dak to take that big step forwards, and Dak really does too. said nothing to whether they believe he can, to whether all the tools are there, everything's the one positive thing I can say about this is that Kidna is really focused on footwork. That's always been a thing for him. Is he really pays attention to the mechanics of the feet, and that's the area where Dak Prescott struggles the most. So could we see some improvement? Yeah, I suppose. But yeah. Is it going to be that? Is it going to be substantial? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to make that. I don't think so. Personally, I think Dak is a bust. I think he had that one fairy tale year, and I don't think we're going to see anything more impressive from him. Now, in terms of the new weapons they've given him, I got to go find the name again. I lost the name of the guy. They drafted a running back. But and this one, it's really interesting. So they drafted this rookie running back, Tony Pollard. And they're making the comparisons that he runs like Alvin Kamara. He has that similar, flair. And there's some people saying, oh, he's a gadget back, oh, he's good for third down or this or that. And he says, and everyone else is saying, oh, no, he's got all these different weapons. He's so good. So my question is, what the hell do you need him for? Why did you waste your draft capital on this new Alvin Kamara when you already have Ezekiel Elliott? Mm-hmm. It just seems really interesting. He's trying to make the case for himself, and some of the analysts are trying to make the case for him that this guy is an all down back, the workhorse running back. But you have your workhorse running back, so why is it that you would need another? I mean, that just seems to, unless they're planning on Zeke getting arrested again, and this is going to be.
He might.
They know he's just their temporary fix until the next time he gets suspended, and they don't want to be left with their dicks in their hands like they have been every single time. So that seems like an interesting place to put their energy, given Zeke's performance when he's on the field. Though at the same time, given the Cowboys' performance when Zeke is off the field, it maybe makes sense to have somebody who can really fill his shoes when he is not always necessarily going to be there. And you wonder if it speaks to the boys getting savvy and thinking, well, maybe we'll move on from our all-star if we don't think he can curb his off-field issues, because we'd like to have a player that can actually play all 16 games.
Right.
So that's probably their biggest rookie news in terms of their offensive weapons. They picked up. I don't know that they drafted any big wide receiver talent. They replaced Cole Beasley with Randall Cobb, who is another slot receiver who is fine. He's a good slot receiver for sure. Is he an improvement? I don't know. They've improved their tight end spot with the now unretired Jason Witten. So it really seems like there's still a team of all-stars. They've got this potential help of Tony Pollard. They've got Amari Cooper and Ezekiel Elliott, and those are their weapons. And they're relying on those guys to pretty much carry their team. They picked up somebody's number low on the depth chart receiver.
Alan Hearns.
Yeah. So they didn't make any big splashy moves in terms of their offense. They are throwing a lot of shit at the wall in terms of their defense. They picked up a bunch of draft picks. They picked up a ton of draft capital. Ooh, I just realized that I am not using my fancy microphone. I probably sound like garbage. I wonder.
Ooh.
Oh, no. Let's see.
Get fancy.
Yeah, getting fancy. Let me see if I can make that adjustment midway through. I think I can. Let me see. Yeah.
Wait, no. Alan Hearns was on the team last year because he got his knee completely destroyed in that playoff game, I believe.
Oh, huh.
I think
they picked up
Randall Cobb. That's who it was.
Randall Cobb is who they picked up as their slot receiver.
Yep.
Who's just not really. I mean, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him, but he doesn't bring anything special to that. He's just replacing Cole Beasley, basically. And he's a fine player. He's a smart player. But I don't know. I mean, I guess he's not as fast as Beasley. He's not as explosive as Beasley. So I don't know why they moved on from Beasley. I mean, Beasley certainly hasn't been the player that he was the first season that he played with Dak, but I'm not sure if moving on was the right decision. Oh, where is this guy? Here he is. Tavon Austin is the receiver they picked.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Tavon Austin. He was a huge player for the Rams a few years ago.
Yeah.
By huge, I mean he had a couple of good games, and everyone in St. Louis before they moved thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
And he hasn't been all that splashy at all since then. So I don't even know where did they pick him up from? I don't even know.
I think they had him already. I think they got him from the Rams last season.
The Rams were just hanging on to him and just haven't used him because they picked up Austin this past offseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The re-signing, they did re-sign him. They picked him up from the Rams last season. But now they got certain things. I got this one person saying all these people are going to take these big steps forwards, like Xavier Woods, who was a liability. And it's just so cute because like he did better. He was still a liability in the secondary, but he did better. Or they took a guy who's always played tackle, moved him into guard because they need to replace some of that depth. And once again, it was, he had made some mistakes, but he'll be better this season. Recent with you, Randall Cobb is pretty done. He's much older. He's much older than Beasley too. Talked to Austin a ton, but barely used him. Well, we got Amari Cooper. We got a couple super chats in here. Don't want to neglect those. Mega Jetty one. When will we get another Penn State versus Notre Dame? I don't know. Can't answer that. I know nothing about college scheduling, so I have no answers for you.
Call Notre Dame because they're the kings of we're Class 1 independents. We make our own schedules.
Yeah, yay. The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey says, I know nothing about sports. Roll Eagles. Not how we do it. We say fly, Eagles, fly.
Yeah.
Or go Birds. But, so they threw a lot of pieces at the defense. It's not some draft picks, some free agents. So they definitely have added pieces and added depth to what was definitely a middling defense last year. So they look to take a step forwards. Most power rankings are still putting them definitely behind the Eagles in the NFC East. And I really don't think they were as good a team last year as their record or their playoff run indicates. I don't know that they deserve to win that game against the Seahawks. I don't know if they deserve to be in the playoffs. There were a lot of games that I watched of theirs where, I mean, the Saints, talk about Saints getting screwed on pass interference. They lost to the Cowboys on a bad pass interference. I can't remember if it was a call or no call, but it was the same kind of thing where it was a critical drive that the refs just gave to them. So there were a lot of close games that really should have gone against them that went for them just because we know that they're cheating McCheater faces.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'm looking at their schedule, just about every tough team they get to play at home, with the exception of the Patriots, which I'm going to write that off as a loss for them. But aside from that, every tough team that's going to give them any kind of trouble, the Texans are coming there to play them. That's preseason. Get myself into the regular season. I don't know the Dolphins. Oh, and the Saints. They are going to the Saints. They're going to the Saints and the Patriots. And I'll chalk both those two up as losses. I think the Saints are going to be hungry for some Cowboy blood. But the Packers, who are not going to be a great team this year, but they're always tough to play at home. They are coming to Dallas to play, which means that's going to be a much easier game for them. The Dolphins could be a challenger, a potentially challenging team. Again, with the home field advantage, they're going to be a lot weaker on the road, and they're playing in Dallas. The Vikings seek to once again be a middling to good team, are playing them in Dallas, whereas they get to go on the road to play teams like the Lions. They do play the Bears on the road, which could be something, but the Rams come to their house to play them. So a lot of the toughest teams on the schedule, with pretty much the exception of the Pats and the Saints, are coming to Dallas to play them, which we know, of course, that home field advantage doesn't mean anything more than it means in Dallas, where they've had ample opportunity to suck off all of the referees before the games. So based on their schedule, they are going to make a bid for the wild card spot. I don't think they're going to be as good as the Eagles this season. The Eagles have really, with the people coming back from injuries and the depth they've added and a really, really good draft class, the Eagles are going to be the team to beat in the NFC, and in the NFC East, especially if provided Wentz stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the Cowboys are going to have an easy time taking that second place spot, and are definitely going to be able to make a bid at the wild card just because their schedule gives them is gentle to them. Let's put it that way. It's a very gentle schedule.
I hope they go 0-16.
I mean, I always hope they go 0-16. I never want to see good things for them. That just makes me sad.
No.
I do, however, I don't want to talk too much since we'll get to the Eagles a few weeks from now in the in-depth look. But
Fry equals fry.
we've had some interesting re-signings, though. We've brought some pieces, some key pieces from our 2017 Super Bowl champion team back, and it's interesting because a lot of those pieces, people coming back, are not coming back to fill a need. They're coming back as depth players. So they were good enough to win the Super Bowl for us, and now they're good enough to play backup to our new stars. So that's yeah. I like what JBass66 has to say, which is that it doesn't matter who the boys have, they will not make the Super Bowl as long as Jones is alive. That's true.
Yeah, that's an accurate statement.
And that's something, and I've heard a lot of Cowboys players express a certain amount of frustration because as long as Jerry Jones is alive and holding his death grip over that team, he really has way too much to do with it. Jason Garrett is only ever going to be a puppet for Jerry Jones. The man doesn't even call plays anymore. He doesn't pick the personnel for the games. He basically just stands on the sideline and claps and wears his shitty visor. So that's Reese says the Birds secondary is suspect. I beg to differ. We've got a healthy Ronald Darby. We still have Jalen Mills. Avonte Maddox showed incredible talent last year. Sidney Jones should be healthy. There's someone I'm missing. Don't even forget, Crayvon LeBlanc is way down on the depth chart, and he showed flashes of brilliance as well. So, Driving Mayhem says, I don't know if you're afraid of the Cowboys, they'll go 9-7. They might be 10. They might be a 10-16 just because, like, if you go through their schedule, they've got they'll beat the Giants, unless they don't, and that'll be really funny. But that's their opening is the Giants coming to play them. They'll beat the Giants. They'll probably beat the Redskins in the Redskins house. Maybe that one a maybe. They'll beat the Dolphins at home. They'll probably lose to the Saints. They'll probably beat the Packers if they're playing them at home. They'll beat the Jets. I say they're going to lose to the Eagles both times because I want this. They could lose at the Giants. They probably won't. They'll beat the Vikings in their house. They'll beat the Lions in Detroit. They'll probably lose to the Patriots. They'll beat the Bills. They could lose to the Bears. They could lose to the Rams. Yeah, actually, 9-7 might be about right because I know they're getting the Cowboys and the Redskins. I'm gonna say they could definitely 9-7. They're gonna have to try to do worse than 9-7. But Nathaniel Kadugan is finally here on a live stream for the first time in a million years. They would have to try to do worse than 9-7, but they have some opportunities to be a 10-6 team, which is just sad. But that's how. That's where we're at with their schedule, and that they can be a mediocre team and still go 10-6. That upsets me, but that's certainly if they do manage a 10-6 or an 11-5, that certainly puts them in good wild card position. If they do what I hope and they go 9-7, or even drop a few of those mysteriously and end up with an 8-8, and they're out of the playoffs, I would be thrilled. That would be
Yeah, there'd be no complaints here. I'd be totally okay with all of that happening.
Bring me joy. Reese wants to fight me about this. Darby is not healthy and Sidney was not as good as advertised. Darby should be healthy. His injury was early last season. He should be good to go. He should be good to go. I say so. Where do you think your Bills finish in the AFC East?
Let's see. I would say they're going to probably be the second place team in the AFC East just because somehow the Patriots will sacrifice, prostitutes and blood magic and all that stuff to get in first again. And I think the Bills will squeak out second place over the Dolphins.
I think that's probably right about that.
And far back and forth will be the Jets.
Far back. We can wait. They can get a wave. Bye. Yep. Cowboys will be second in the division probably as well. Yeah. I'm gonna unless Haskins is suddenly an amazing quarterback right out of the gate, and they manage to and the Redskins manage to overtake. Anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. It's the NFL. Any given Sunday.
I do think it's funny that the Redskins get to pay Alex Smith $20 million this season and next, even though he's gonna sit.
I was gonna say his leg got super destroyed.
He done. Yeah. Yep. So that's okay. Here's a question. Well, I went over that in my going through the schedule. The Cowboys do play the Bills this season. So who wins that matchup?
Is it in Jerry World?
Let me double check. I think that's one. We go to all the. The Bills are going to Jerry World.
Then I'm gonna go ahead and take the Cowboys.
I'm gonna take the Cowboys on that one too. I'd like it to not be true, like Shady to run up and down them, and also a big question. The two big question marks for the Cowboys are: does Zeke play a full season? Does he manage not to get arrested for some dumb shit thing?
Yeah,
and actually plays a full season. And the secondary question along with that one is if he doesn't, is Tony Pollard a serviceable backup for him?
no, definitely not, because it's going to be hard to replace Ezekiel Elliott if he goes around slapping people again and gets suspended, allegedly. And I think he will actually play. He'll do a full season this year.
My prediction is that he will be able to play the full season. Now, the other big question, too, is does Dak take that step forward? If he doesn't take Tom King says Pollard was projected to be a 7th rounder. They took him in the 4th. Yeah, I thought that was a pretty dumb move as well. I thought it was a waste to take a running back in the 4th when you have an Ezekiel Elliott, especially when you're going to pick up somebody that was going to be on the table anyway later on in the draft.
Right.
So definitely a foolish move there. Yeah, and again, like, what is Dak going to do? Is he going to take a step forward? Is he going to stay where he is, or is he going to regress? Because that's something too. When you get somebody in futzing with your mechanics, futzing with your footwork, if it doesn't click with you, then all those changes will actually make you regress.
Right.
That's like you're talking the Cowboys, who even after Dak had that absolutely awful second season, still hot on him, still being like, oh no, he's the quarterback of the future. He's so great. Just the sophomore slump. After the season, I'm reading one writer still saying, like, even the one who was really hot on this idea that Kitten is going to fix his footwork, still turning around and saying, like, is Dak ever going to be the most accurate quarterback in the NFL? Probably not. So I think the fan base has really, if not has soured on him, has certainly put him on notice.
Right. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot of hope for it.
Yeah.
Just the first year he played, I think it was one of those situations where he was just a different type of entity. And I think everybody made adjustments to deal with him last season, and you could see that it just did not work as well as it did.
Well, the other thing about Dak's first season too is you had Zeke, which changed their game entirely.
Right.
And you had their veteran, badass offensive line. And you didn't lose too many pieces. You lost a little depth, and I think they had some critical injuries on their O-line 2 seasons ago as well when he regressed a little bit. And they definitely lost some players going into their 3rd season and also had a bunch of injuries as well. So the Cowboys have always, their quarterbacks classically have only been as good as that offensive line. And they're definitely hurting there in a way that they're not – that they weren't in Dak's first season. You give your quarterback all the time in the world to throw, they're going to make it look good. And Dak is a quarterback who is he's better on his legs outside of the pocket than he is in the pocket. He's not a great pocket passer, especially when the pocket collapses. So when you have a pocket with zero pressure, it's easy to throw well in the pocket and be impressive when you're flushed out of the pocket. Now it's better when you're on the run. But you can't sit in that pocket and throw when the pocket starts collapsing on you. So without that line, and it doesn't look like they made massive, because they had so many needs to address that on defense, it doesn't look like they made any massive step forward with their offensive line. They've got a lot of the same people. Again, they brought somebody back in as a swing backup.
Swinger?
He's a swinger.
He's a swinger.
To add a little bit of depth to that chart, but overall, I don't see any big strides with that offensive line that's going to really make the difference in Dak's pocket game. So yeah, I don't think you're going to see that big step forward.
I don't either. I got a feeling that the Cowboys will pretty much just be exactly where they were last year. Dak's going to underimpress. Zeke will play a full season. He'll be the hardworking one, the one that gets the most ball usage, coverage. He gets the most touches. That's, I think, what I was going for there. And, yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the Cowboys will flirt with 9 wins, 10 wins at the most, and hopefully get shelled in the first round of the playoffs.
If they make it that far. Yeah, I mean, it's really like they're gonna have to in order to not make some major changes. Oh, also, I saw an interesting article about them. They lost 3 of their major scouting personnel this offseason, and that just pleases me because they're already showing they've already shown only middling intelligence in their scouting game, and so losing that just is going to make them even more garbage about who they're picking up and how to fit those pieces into their team, and that just makes me very happy. Makes me very, very happy. So, yeah, I can't believe they brought Jason Witten back. I can't believe they thought that was going to be a good idea.
Yeah, he's 1 year older and 1 year removed from the NFL.
Yeah. The whole reason he retired is he was playing like crap and he wasn't worth the money that he was due.
Right.
So he's not gonna play better now. He's sit on his ass for a year. He's not gonna suddenly be a better player. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for my birds. I'm very excited. My birds.
You got a couple weeks to go before you can gush on those.
I know. Well, are we gonna do 2 teams next week? Unless is there any other pressing topics we're gonna throw in here as well?
I say we plan for 2 teams and we wait to see what the NFL has to throw us over the course of the next week.
See if there's any more fun. So that would give me that would give me wait, are we doing this by city name? Or are we doing
yes.
Doing this alphabetically by city name?
Yes. Okay. So the team's name.
The city, yeah.
So you get next week would be the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Eagles.
And I would get the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots.
There you go. All right, for the Patriots.
And then I got to deal with the Jets the week after that.
And then I will have these Skins. The Skins are going to be an interesting team to talk about. The Redskins are definitely going to be an interesting team to talk about. Though I just realized that no matter how you slice it, the Eagles will be up next week anyway as a team. As Eagles would be next after C, or P would be.
You got the N for the New York Giants in there.
That's what I'm saying is the N would be before the P. For the 2 teams, I still get the Eagles, but the E would be before the G. So I just check in, see how we're organizing this. I like it then. Yeah,
so plan for 2, but if something comes up that we have to talk about, then you'll just do the G-Men and I'll do the Dolphins, and then we'll get the Patriots and the Eagles the week after that.
Yeehaw. Yeah, and this is great. So as we move on, should we keep with which divisions are going to play which divisions, because that way we can talk about who's going to beat who in the season and how and why.
We could. So then we would move from the East to the, I guess, South.
Do the Souths play each other?
I don't think so. No, because, I think it always matches up that way because the AFC West has the NFC North this year.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I was going to say the Wests have the North, so then I guess the Souths would have the Souths.
The Souths would have the Souths, I guess.
Yeah, because then the East, because the East got the East.
Yeah. All right. So we can move on to the South. The South, we'll go to the deep South. The NFC South for the past couple of seasons has been one of the strongest divisions in football.
Yeah.
And I don't see that necessarily changing, though there are some big question marks because I think the Falcons have seen better days. I think the Panthers are kind of on notice a little bit, and the Bucks are the Bucks. So the Bucks are the weak link in that one.
I was going to say the AFC South has been a different story. It's been a greasy horror show for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah. Yep. The Texans though are making it could be interesting. The Texans could easily be a good team. And the Jags could easily be good. They've been a contending team the past couple seasons now, and I mean last season didn't go nearly as well for them, but they got Big Dick Nick. So
ever since giant 4-headed Frankenstein neck left the Colts, that the AFC South has no longer been on lockdown, and it's pretty much been
Yeah.
a blood sport between the Texans and the Jaguars and the Titans occasionally.
Yep. Do you think Luck is ever going to be back to form?
I think so. I think last year was an indicator that he can get back to the form that he was in before, and I think he will be next year as well.
Yeah, I think that I do think last year was a positive sign for the Colts. Which actually, I think we talked about this too, about which division would be the most interesting one, and I put my money in the AFC South being the most interesting division of football because all 4 of those teams now are going to be they are potential contenders. They're all potential contenders. They're all fairly even. Not a one of them's going to the Super Bowl, but any one of them could make the playoffs. And it'll be fun to watch them battle it out amongst each other.
Yeah. We shall see. I guess that's where we will venture next. We'll go from the east to the south, to the west, to the north.
Sounds good.
We'll make a circle around the United States.
It'll be a circle. It'll be a
big old circle. We'll make a big old circle.
We'll make slightly divergent routes because one of us is going to go like that. So we're good.
Okay. Here, out to here, back up to there, and then here.
All right. I guess we should take questions if people have questions. First of all,
anybody have any questions about everything?
You know what I haven't done at all because I'm the worst, most irresponsible person. First of all, I haven't acknowledged any of our moderators. We had Alex Leitz in here who doesn't know things about football and is stumbling drunk from fencing practice, which is the way you should come back from fencing practice. We did have Caitlin Keeper, the Jeremys, in here. I don't know if she's still around, but I do have the link to Football's Deep because after we're done here, this
Football's Deep.
And this goes on to Football's Deep, which you should all be subscribed to, and you should all watch those episodes over there and share them with all your friends and be like, listen to these 2 really intelligent people talk smart football.
Mm-hmm. And make sexual innuendos.
And make terrifying sexual innuendos about just the tip to score.
That's right.
It counts. It counts if it's just the tip. Totally counts.
Yep. Sometimes you just got to punch it in.
Right in. It's right in. Just sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you need an assist. Sometimes it takes an extra person to get it in. But all that matters is that you get it in. Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes you just got to get one of those big hog mollies on your back, just helping you push that thing right into the hole.
Push it right in the hole. Push it right through the hole. That's sometimes everyone needs a little help getting through the hole.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to hit that hole.
Just got to hit that hole with everything you got, and then hopefully you'll go through.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get stopped at the hole, though. It's real uncomfortable. Sometimes you just hit the hole funny, and you just bounce right off.
Yeah, you smack into the hole, you bounce off of it, and sometimes you get jammed.
Yep. Fine Castle IREs is a new podcast series. Yes, Football's Deep is the new podcast series. It is on the Football's Deep channel, but we're doing it here right now because this is monetized, so we can make money to buy burgers.
We're going in and out.
And yes, so when we get monetized, that's why you need to watch and subscribe to that channel, because when we get monetized on that channel, then we'll do it on that channel. It'll be even more exciting because it won't be confusing as to why Mindless Entertainment is talking about football for over an hour. Driving Mayhem says, have you guys thought about forming a fantasy league playing with your fans? I'd be interested.
The only difficult part about that is that fantasy leagues usually are only 10 teams, so then only 8 people would be able to join. So maybe we could set something up where the first 8 people could join, or we could have a contest. I don't know. We'd come up with something.
We could do that. We can do it with super chats. If you pay us to join our team,
we'll send you the code.
That'll be great. I think that's a great idea. I think if we do start something and we'll just get interested, whoever's interested in joining, we could do a Football's Deep fan league.
Mm-hmm. Just the tip to score.
Just the tip to score. Or we can make it really unfair, Kendo, and you and I we could have 9 people in it, and you and I could be the same team.
We could do that.
Just make it super unfair.
Yeah, we could do that.
That would be fun.
Or we can make it even more unfair, where we each get a team. We load up ourselves as the top 2 drafts in each round, and we stockpile the talent, and then we just shift all of them to one of the teams, and then we just manage that team.
That would be fun.
And mean.
Let the other one just kind of bloop, 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 bloop.
Yeah,
No,
that'll
we
become the whipping boy team, and then we'll have like the best team, and we'll be like running roughshod over everybody.
wouldn't
That would be
necessarily
that,
be a whipping boy team. That one could be our wheeling and dealing team to make sure that we're always getting the best capital without letting go of our best players. So
yeah, because it'd have waiver priority because it would keep losing, so it'd get waiver priority, and we could just go scraping the best.
we
Yeah,
just
that's
guys, and then just trade with ourselves so that if we needed that player back for another week, we just trade it back. That'd be great.
yeah,
Yeah.
very, very, very unethical and dirty pool. I like it.
Driving Mayhem says ESPN and CBS has 12 team formats. So
The only problem with the 12-team format is that it kind of tends to dilute the talent levels that you're going after. So you're forced to start like third string backups that may not even get on the field when it comes to like playmaker players. So you would be forced to start like a wide receiver 4 for a team.
that's unfortunate. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. Do we have any other questions for us? What's Football's Deep? It's the podcast where Kendo from World Class Bullshitters and I talk about football.
Yeah.
You can make a bunch of fantasy football leagues, and whoever scores the most points in all the leagues wins. That sounds complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any other football questions for us? Any football questions? Make sure you do go over to that other channel and subscribe. I'll drop the link again and again and again. Subscribe to that channel. That's where all these things are going to be when they're no longer here, which will be after we're done talking. So, and I'll wait to see if there's any more questions. Otherwise, we'll wrap this puppy up.
We'll go get some Chinese food.
Chinese food? I thought we were getting burgers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can get whatever you want. We don't even live in the same place. I'm going to look after this one, after the analytics go through on this one. I'm going to look and send you to get your first Football's Deep paycheck.
Or we could just stockpile it all and save it for whenever we're going to be at the game together. Because didn't you say you're going to have a fencing thing in Kansas City this year?
That's true. That's true. We should find out what weekend that's going to be and find out if there's a game. And then we'll use all of that money. That's the rule, is that all of the Football's Deep income will be exclusively used to buy beer at football games.
Yep.
Or beer for football games.
Yep. Well, that's what we'll do. Is we'll just stockpile all the Football's Deep money. We'll use it to pay for the tailgate and pay for booze at the football game, and then pay for booze when we're passing out at the hotel afterwards.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm all about this life. Rock Pren asks, is Tom Brady finally done?
Not yet, but it's gonna be a very interesting season to see where what he ends up doing. If he comes out of the box and he looks like he did this season, then we'll say that the regression is happening and he's getting that to that point of being done. But if he comes out and he looks just awful, then yeah, it's over.
I got 2 words. No Gronk.
That's gonna hurt.
That he's gonna feel it. That's his safety. Because that's the whole thing. The reason Brady's has been able to be so healthy and so good the past few seasons is because he has one of the fastest releases of any NFL quarterback. And
that's what Giselle says.
And what?
I said that's what Giselle says.
Yeah.
Fast release.
Fast release. Fastest of anybody. Just like, boom, average of 3 seconds. Done. So but the thing is, most of the time a quarterback with a fast release throws the ball away a lot. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady's go-to, he doesn't just have find my receiver or throw the ball away. He's got find my receiver, find Gronk, throw the ball away. And that has been a crucial step in keeping his play at a high level and keeping them as a high scoring team. And without the Gronk, you're going to see some marked drop off. You're going to see his accuracy go down. You're going to see his ability to complete passes go down. So yes, I think you saw some drop off in his quality last season, and I think you're really gonna see it this year. I think this is the beginning of the end.
Let's hope.
And Tom King, hand in hand with that, is why is Tom Brady so overrated? Because
I don't consider him overrated. I just get tired of hearing about him.
Likewise, I just mostly get frustrated with his existence. I would just like him to just no longer exist. That would be fine. Yeah. Don't count out Edelman. When Gronk was out, Brady utilized him and Lewis a lot. Yeah, but I don't think there's quite the same rapport. I don't think there's and didn't Edelman get injured? Was it last season or the season before that Edelman got injured?
I think it was season 4 because last season he missed the first 4 games for something or another. He was suspended.
So I don't know that Edelman can do for Brady exactly what Gronk does. Yeah. Do you honestly think the Eagles will win 11 plus games? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I can go through. We can go through and count that right now. We can save it till next week.
We'll save it for that week. Yeah.
Talking birds. I'll tell you exactly who they're going to beat. Everybody. There is not a single game this season that I would chalk up as a loss for them. As an automatic loss for them. So that's yeah. Yeah, he was suspended this season, and Brady was terrible without him. Okay, so he's definitely a big piece of the puzzle. But I think knowing that there is no Gronk, I think is going to hurt their game, and it's also going to be easier for teams too because you don't. That's one of the reasons why Edelman has been able to be such a big piece is that teams scheme for Gronk. Teams plan for Gronk. Now they're going to plan for Edelman, and they're going to hopefully be able to neutralize that weapon. Hopefully.
Just tear his fucking head off.
Just murder him to death. Yeah. Any more questions? Brady is not overrated, just overexposed. I agree with that, Reese. Very much agree with that.
Yep. They sure like to blow him in the press.
All the time. Guys, if you have not tackled the like button, fondled it gently, and put the tip in, make sure you do that. Do all of those things to the like button. Right now, because I think we're getting ready to wrap this puppy up.
And then come back later.
Yeah. Speaking of coming back later, it is Tuesday. I have my regularly scheduled Mindless Entertainment live stream at 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Pacific. So make sure you come back for that. We'll probably talk about things. I imagine we'll talk about Game of Thrones. Tony may be over to talk about. He saw this great Deep Space Nine documentary yesterday, so we maybe bring some of that. So if you're into the nerd stuff, for the nerd stuff, Kendo, if you want to come back later and talk about nerd stuff, you're welcome back as well.
I'll see how I'm feeling at 11 o'clock at night. I had a very early day today. I had to be at work at 5, so
understandable. That stuff falls.
And I kept trying to get naps but nothing. I could never. Every time I started to get dozed off, it was something else happened, and I'm like, I'm awake.
I hear you. I've lived that life. I am going to take a muscle relaxer shortly after this, so I'm going to probably be loopy as I'll get out on the live stream later. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking about just buying some beer and going home and using that as my relaxer.
That works too. I have drugs. My back is excruciating pain. But
stop spending so much time on it. Oh! Excuse
me. I prefer to be on top. Thank you.
Oh, damn.
Nah, are you kidding me? That's way too much work. It's much more likely to deal with that. Don't want to do all the work. That's hard. That's difficult. Right, Lando? Little Kitten Eagles fan? All right, what do you guys think? Should I get my cats Eagles jerseys?
Why not? They won't wear them, but go for it.
They will too. They will have no choice. They will wear them. They'll walk around like they're drunk, which is what they do when you put things on them. It'll be great. Oh, Madeline saw the Deep Space Nine documentary. All right. So I think that that'll do it for us, yeah?
I think so. So episode 4 in the books.
Bam! Good job, us. Good job, world. Good job, people watching. Good job, people pressing the like button. Tackling the like button. Good job, people subscribing to our channel. To Football's Deep. Let me put
Football's Deep. Get into it.
Football's Deep. Just
get in it. Get up in it.
Get all the way up. Get Football's Deep. Kitten! No, I will feed you when I freaking feel like it and not before, you little asshole. All right. Well, I'm Jessi Milestone.
Kendo Slice.
And we'll catch you next week.
Yeah, on the flip side.
Catch you on the flip side. Bye.
Peace.